Welcome to Square One Games. My name is Exonovan and this is my road to completion guide for Hellblade. In this series, I will show you how to unlock every single trophy this game has to offer, and I really hope you enjoy the run. A few quick announcements before we get started. Number 1, check the description and my pinned comment for a full video timeline in case you need to skip around to a specific part of the guide. Number 2, if I have to make a correction, I will leave a note in my pinned comment or insert a new video into the series. Videos that contain corrections will always be labeled with decimal numbers. Number 3, I monitor my comments 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so if you have any questions about this guide or any other guides on the channel, let me know immediately by leaving a comment. I will respond to you as quickly as possible. That's all the announcements. Enjoy the guide.
Maybe you too have a part to play in this story.
We need to listen to 44 Lorestones to unlock the trophy Stories from the North. Press R2 to interact with Lorestones.
Come on, closer. She can't focus. Why can't she look?
Do not forget.
Notice the symbols inside the circle. Red symbols represent inactive Lorestones, and white symbols represent active Lorestones. We will listen to Lorestones in the order the symbols appear inside the circle, which means there should never be a red symbol between two white symbols. If you see this, it means you've missed a Lorestone and you need to backtrack to activate it so you don't void the trophy. You can sprint by holding L1.
Through deep, dark valleys. After 9 nights of riding, you follow.
The darkness is coming. It yearns for life, hungers for it. But she's not stopping. Not this time.
Can you see it?
Coming. Her dear beloved. Dillian.
What is she doing? Why is she doing this? Why doesn't she turn back? She's doing this for him. She wants to rescue him. He's already dead.
The bridge to Helheim. I forget its name. She forgets too. But she does remember that only the dead may cross it. That part wasn't so easy to forget. The old fool said there was a hidden path up to it. Let's see, shall we?
The Northmen speak of 9 worlds. The world of men they call Midgard. Sky gods dwell in Asgard. The gods of earth, harvest, wind, and sea dwell in Vanaheim. The good elves dwell in Alfheim. The evil ones dwell in Svartalfheim. The mountain giants dwell in Jotunheim. The fire giants dwell in Muspelheim. Niflheim is the world of ice and darkness. Only the dead dwell in Helheim. And that is where you must travel.
Why did she do that? She shouldn't have done it. She can't go back now.
No, this is it. The hidden path.
It's not going to hurt. It's going to hurt you. It's dangerous.
Don't kill me. I'm not one of them.
The runes seal the gates to hell. Focus your inner eye, and you too will see what's hidden in plain sight.
Press R2 to focus on objects in the environment.
Focus. Focus and you'll see. What happens if you...
I can see one.
Hold it in your mind's eye. Find one like it to open the gate.
It's a secret. It's a secret.
It's near. Focus, and you will find it.
It's just
Look towards the
gate, and the gate will open.
The gate is open. Go through the gate.
Go through it.
It's dangerous.
Follow it.
It works.
It's not safe.
I spent 6 years enslaved in hell, but I watched the Northmen, learnt their ways.
I know you did.
You listened when everyone else laughed. My people hear heaven cries. Carry my stories with you, and together we will make the Northmen feel our fury.
Another voice joins us. She once tried to make them go away. Pretend they weren't real.
Use the right thumbstick to keep your balance on the beam. Activate the Lorestone and follow the path to reach the gate, which will unlock the trophy. The fight begins.
You can stand on the edge. Pretend it's going to be okay. But you know that death is near. Waiting for you to make that little slip. You can't just wish things away.
The world of the dead is ruled by the giantess, Hela, daughter of Loki. The gods feared her bloodline, bad on her mother's side and yet much worse on her father's. So, as a child, the All-Father cast her down into Helheim and gave her power over those who die of sickness, age, hardship, and self-slaughter. In all of the 9 worlds, only Hela.
Stay back. Look at it. You have to open it.
The gate to Helheim divides the living from the dead. Is that the face of Hela herself? The half-rotten goddess that rules over Helheim.
Hold down the R1 button to block an enemy's attack. If you press it at just the right time, you can parry the enemy. If you're not comfortable with the parry system, you can spam X to evade and just keep circling the enemy until they miss an attack, and then counter using the following tactics. You can press triangle to hit an enemy with heavy attacks until they recover. L1 plus triangle does a jumping attack which does massive damage to the enemy. You can start your sprint from far away, or you can actually press these 2 buttons directly in front of an enemy to do the jumping attack. L1 plus triangle followed by square will thrust your sword into the enemy for additional damage. If you can master the parry system or these 3 tactics, you'll be able to get through every combat situation in the entire game.
He's gone!
When the enemies shift into shadow form, take a death on purpose to continue the story.
Don't give up. Don't give up.
It's just
Dark Rot is a built-in game mechanic that keeps track of how many times you die. If the dark rot reaches Senua's head, you will lose all your progress and be forced to restart from the beginning. To counter this, you can set up backup saves using your PSN account or USB storage device. I'll walk you through this process in a few seconds.
To open the gate, you must first face the gods that guard it. The god of fire, Surt, and the god of illusion, Valravn. Spill their blood to open the gate to Helheim and enter the land of the dead.
To create a backup save, tap the PlayStation Home button and go to Settings. Scroll down and select Application Save Data Management. When prompted to close the application, select OK. You will see three options. Select option 1, Save Data in System Storage, then choose between online storage or the USB device. You can load backup saves by following the same steps, except you would choose either option 2 or 3 to load the data. There are 2 files that can be copied. You only want to copy the first file, and that'll be enough to create your backup save.
The Northmen say that in the beginning there was nothing but darkness. Bitter cold to the north, fiery hot to the south. They say the cold formed ice.
Valravn, ancestor of the seers and master of ravens. The gate to Helheim cannot be opened without it.
Ymir was a frost giant, a being of darkness, and all his sons and grandsons were dark after him. Of his daughters and granddaughters, some were monstrous, but others fair. But there was another who came from the ice, Buri, in shape he was like a man. Illusion hides the path to Valravn. Don't trust your eyes. Find another way to see the truth.
Press X to interact with objects in the environment.
Push it. She did it.
Pass through gates to change the environment and reveal a new path.
It's funny. We all want to see behind the veil, don't we? But once we do, we mostly just close our eyes again and pretend what we saw was never really there. Senua never could close her eyes, however hard she tried. Begged. This is the price she pays for seeing things differently. Because once you gaze into the relentless darkness,
When fighting multiple enemies, it's smart to block with R1 after each kill to avoid unnecessary damage.
Don't give up.
The Northmen will not stop her. She will find what she's looking for.
Valravn's power of illusion comes from ravens. Align the ravens to break his magic seal.
Show me what you have seen, Truth. Look how much it's changed. Something's shifted. Something's happened. Something's shifted. Can you feel it?
Do you feel it too? It's like crossing into another world that looks the same but feels different. An imposter world.
Another gate.
Where the forest itself is watching.
You know what to do. Stay back. You have to open it. It's not safe. Don't listen to them. Listen.
To
Don't.
break the seal, align the ravens with the mark of Valravn.
What does it mean? Which ravens? Where are they? Can't you see them? Line up the ravens. Shh.
I hear something.
If you hear the soul of Valravn, follow it, and it will lead you to him.
Challenge me.
Be aware of his illusions. You can't always trust your eyes.
Is she lost? Would be the first time. Last winter, before the tragedy, she journeyed into the wilds of her native land, living off berries, roots, and rabbits. You see, we call such a person a Gelt. Some, like Truth, become Gelt in search of penance. Others, like Senua, to purge a curse. Those who make it back are forever changed.
The Northmen say that Odin and his brothers killed Ymir, and that the world of men was formed from his corpse. They made his bones into stone, and his flesh into earth, and his blood into the salt sea. They set his skull to be the bowl of the sky, and his brains the clouds. Odin and his brothers caught the sparks flying from Muspelheim and made them into stars. And to protect the new worlds of giants, they used Ymir's Greek curving eyebrows as walls.
She can get out. She can get out. Must be magic. Dark magic. A trick. Valravn tricking her. Valravn. How can she get out? Bait. It's him. Dark magic draws her closer. It's not him. He's helping her. It's not him. It's a trick. She's doing it on her own. He's not tricking her. It's magic. It's an illusion.
Simple. The worst kind comes without warning. A deep and primal signal from within. A reminder that just because you cannot see the threat, it doesn't mean that it's not already here.
The Northmen say you must sacrifice in order to receive. They tell how the runes were revealed to Odin only in sacrifice. He hung himself from the world tree, and he stabbed himself with a spear, and he dedicated the sacrifice to himself. For 9 nights he hung on the tree without food or drink.
Do you know what it's like to leave everything behind? Your home, loved ones, to head deep into the wilds, perhaps never to return. Senua does. Because when darkness speaks, it changes everything. Turning home into a foreign land and loved ones into strangers.
There was a very wise being named Mimir, who guarded the waters of wisdom which flow from the roots of the world tree. Odin wished to drink from this spring, but he had to pay a price. So, gouged out his
It's over here. Is that? It's over there. No, it's here. There's two. Listen, focus, listen. It's magic. It's magic. This reminds us of something.
The forest.
Where? Which forest?
The wilds.
She went to the wilds a long time ago. Why did she go to the wilds?
She wanted to fight her own darkness. She thought she could beat her own.
She beat the darkness?
No. It nearly killed her, but she tried.
Druth helped her.
If it wasn't for Druth, she'd be dead.
She can't beat her own darkness. She wanted to marry Dillian.
She came to beat her own darkness and marry Dillian.
But it didn't work.
She thought her curse would affect him.
She thought her curse would spread to him.
She thought she'd bring the darkness to him too.
She nearly died.
She thought the curse made her tainted.
Druth helped her.
The Northmen say that Odin has two ravens. Their names are Thought and Memory, and each day he sends them out to fly all across the world. Upon their return, they perch on his shoulders and tell him everything they have seen and heard. In this way, he learns of things far and wide.
Broken. The gate is open. Open.
She did it.
There is no such thing as victory when it comes to the darkness. It's like it doesn't want to kill her. Yet, it will gnaw at her, biding its time. Only when she is at her weakest will it strike to kill. Will she find Dillian before her time comes?
Overcome Valravn's final illusion to face him in his keep. I know you can do it, Senua. You have the sight.
We both see the darkness. We can fight it together. Speak to me, Druth. Tell me a story.
Senua, listen. I will tell you the tale of a man called Finland. The Northmen captured Findan's sister, and his father sent him to pay for her release. But they took his gold, put him in chains, and held him for a day and a night without food or water. Then they released him. I don't know why. Upon his return, his father's enemies in Erin set fire to his home. His father burnt to death, and his brother was killed. But he escaped with sorrow in his heart. His father's enemies offered redress for his loss and invited him to a feast. It was at a hall near the sea.
But when he went there, they betrayed him to the Northmen, who enslaved him and took him to hell.
6 years later, his slave masters landed on the shores of Orkney, burning all before them. And into that fire, Findan made his escape. What was Findan burnt away that day. But from the flames, a new man stepped forward, and Druth was born. Druth, the man that I am now. And though Findan never set eyes on his dear sister again, I, Druth, have found you, Senua.
I wish you could have seen my home before these dark times.
The gate is open. Open.
Focus! Focus! Focus!
I see you. I see you now. You led me to the wilds. You trapped me there.
Wait for this boss to attack with 2 quick strikes. Then press square 2 times to deliver 2 quick strikes of your own. This pattern is perfect for those of you who are not comfortable with the parry system. Keep this up until the enemy disappears. Take out the random enemies until the boss reappears.
They're winning. You're a better fighter. He's down.
Keep watching the mirror hanging from Senua's waist. When it fully lights up, you can use focus to slow enemies down and deal extra damage. You'll unlock a trophy after defeating this boss, and then I want you to set up a backup save. Just make sure that the auto save icon shows up in the bottom right hand side of the screen before you set up the backup save. If you dashboard too early, you'll actually have to fight the boss over again, so wait for that auto save icon to show up, set up that save, and I'll see you back here in episode 2. Be good.